You're probably wondering why we're in my office for the first hour of the lead today. It's an experiment. This is my actual desk where I do my actual work. And we thought we would bring you into the space where me and my team do our actual journalism and plan the show every day. So here we are giving it a shot. You might also be wondering about the decor, the posters and the kerchiefs and such on my wall. Well, the theme is these are all losing presidential campaigns. I collected the lawn signs and posters of all the candidates I covered, and by the end of the election, I had a really great collection of, well, losers.
A collection of losers. Truer words have never been spoken on CNN. Although Uncle Casey prefers not to call them losers, Uncle Casey prefers the term huge embarrassing failure. And I'm not talking about the aging fossils that lost a presidential election 200 years ago. I'm talking about the huge embarrassing failures hosting primetime dumps on a medium that is literally on life support. Cable news is dying a slow, painful death, and I am including Fox News in this obituary, even though their ratings are still pretty good. But with the average Fox News viewer 70 years old, they have another 5, maybe 10 years until Fox News is on life support too. In the year of our Lord 2026, normal people are not watching cable news. Well, Uncle Casey, that's right. Normal people are getting all their news from the Twitter. Yeah, that's not exactly true either. If you spend most of your life on Twitter, you are not dealing with normal people. You're not getting a good sense of how the vast majority of the country actually feels. If you're living your life on Reddit, Reddit is filled with dorks who spent 4 years of high school using the dryer in the bathroom after their head was dunked in the toilet. Lonely men on Reddit, they are really good at two things. They are good at holding their breath underwater, and they are proficient at creating online dungeons where they congregate together to express their outrage towards the world over the fact that they're losers. With Twitter, at least there are some normal people on the platform, but the truth is, what you see on Twitter, all of this ridiculous back and forth with the so-called podcast bros, along with their grandmother Megyn Kelly, truth is, none of this stuff is real. Right now, Megyn Kelly is rapidly losing credibility with a lot of people in her audience. Why? Because she is using the tactics that worked when she was working in the mainstream media. And she's trying to use that same strategy with independent media. A lot of people in her audience are claiming that Megyn Kelly has changed, but Megyn Kelly hasn't changed. This is who she is. This is who she's always been. Megyn Kelly has always taken the side that she thinks is in the mainstream. 2015, when doofus celebrities hated the Trumper, Megyn Kelly hated the Trumper. 2018, when she was working at NBC News, Megyn Kelly is on there sympathizing with men who want to be women. During the 4 years of misery with our former fearless leader, Johnny B. Biden, Megyn Kelly was suddenly a crusader for Don Trump. And here we are 2 years later, she's no longer worshiping Don, she's worshiping Tucker Carlson. You can get away with this, the flip-flopping in the mainstream media. Historically, the mainstream media has done a great job at framing narratives. For decades, it worked, mainly because we had no other choice, no other option. The mainstream media was our only source of information. But today, normal people are gravitating towards creators that they can relate to, creators they can trust to be authentic. Megyn Kelly is finding out the hard way that lacking authenticity in independent media will turn your platform into a flaming ass fire. It's just not sustainable. And speaking of sustainability, There are very real concerns about the long-term sustainability of the mainstream media, more specifically, cable news. It is entirely possible that in the next 10 years, cable news could have something in common with the dodo bird. They will both be extinct. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So going to get to the sponsor for today's video, Antelope Hill Publishing. As a content creator, one of the primary requirements of the job is reading. I spend a lot of time reading, and I think it's important to read a variety of viewpoints to figure out the truth of any issue. Unfortunately, a lot of mainstream publishers, they provide limited options, or they refuse to publish authors that don't fit their desired narrative. And that is where Antelope Hill Publishing steps in. Antelope Hill Publishing is proud to be a free speech publisher that offers a large variety of books that are hard to find in the mainstream. For example, they've got the Transgender Industrial Complex. This book goes into detail exposing the organizations that funded the transgender movement. It explains how they operate and why they focused on promoting their ideology to kids. Another is The American Regime, which was written by a former January 6th prisoner that was pardoned by Donald Trump. It examines the historical and political reasons for modern government tyranny. Antelope Hill Publishing also sources hard to find historical books so you can learn about history from original sources. There are countless options available, so click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL10, BTL10. Receive 10% off your first purchase with Antelope Hill Publishing. Friday night, Bill Maher was talking about the decline of cable news. Now, even though I don't agree with him politically, I like Bill Maher. I like John Oliver, mainly because his show is completely different from the trio of huge embarrassing failures hosting these late-night dumps on broadcast television, mainly because John Oliver is actually funny. If you watch cable news, whether it's Fox News, MSNBC, or the half dozen people left watching CNN, or as Caitlin Collins, Katie Roo! Katie Roo! Or as the girl named Roo prefers to call them, family. If you watch cable news, you can fall into the trap of thinking that the entire country is feeling a certain way. If you watch Fox News, the entire country is worshiping Donald Trump. If you watch CNN, the entire country is worshiping Allah. Cable news is brilliant at framing believable narratives. Problem is, none of it is real. Watch it for yourself.
Less than 1% of the country is watching Fox News, CNN, and MS Now combined. Combined. A guy on TikTok pressure washing his driveway gets bigger ratings. 76% of Americans watch less than 1 hour of any cable news in a month.
Headline at Axios: Behind the Curtain, America's Big Lie. Whether you want to call it a lie or a myth, the end result is the same. None of this is real. Unfortunately, the anxiety is real, the political divide is real, but that's because both sides of the media have tricked us into not talking to each other. According to a recent Gallup poll, Americans are more concerned about their political system than any other country in the world. Why? Because we are constantly bombarded with propaganda, which might explain why the overwhelming majority of the country has completely checked out. According to Axios, less than 1% of the country is consuming cable news. Less than 20% of the country is on Twitter, and of that 20%, less than 10% are using Twitter on a daily basis. Now, I watch cable news. I use Twitter because I have to stay informed, but if I wasn't doing this for a living, I wouldn't be paying attention to this shit. Most normal people, they're raising families. They're at the ballpark on a Tuesday night. They are coaching their kids, thinking that their kid will be the next Michael Jordan, when the reality is the kid is more likely to be the next Michelle Jordan. Normal people are working 40, 50 hours a week. They're playing golf on the weekends. They're taking weekend trips. But as busy as normal people are, they still have time. If they really wanted to watch cable news, they could find time to watch it. But who in the hell wants to find time to watch this garbage? On cable news, it is the same thing every day. The same fake outrage, the same fake crisis. Why do you think Jake the Bongo Tapper was broadcasting from his dungeon instead of his studio? CNN is trying to emulate Uncle KC. They are trying to emulate YouTubers. They actually think that changing their background will change their ratings. But for some reason, CNN's ratings are still in the pooper. The problem with cable news, the reason the industry is on life support, it has very little to do with cord cutting. Yes, less people having cable has obviously impacted their ratings to some degree, but I actually think cable news has a chance to survive. Consumers are figuring out that cable was a great system. We were spoiled. We had everything in one place and easy to access. We bitched and complained about it. We claimed that cable and satellite were too expensive. And now, here we are complaining about streaming. Either way, cord cutting is not the reason that cable news is struggling. The reason they're struggling is because they have no credibility. Sean Hannity, he will never criticize Don Trump. Yesterday, Don Trump was virtually dancing on the grave of Robert Mueller. It was unpresidential. Now, will Sean Hannity say anything about it? Doubtful. He might whisper his displeasure in Donnie's ear while they're laying in bed together at night. But Sean Hannity would never publicly criticize the Trumper. At the same time, Rachel Maddow, she will never give Trump credit for anything when he does something right. Surprisingly, CNN has been somewhat fair to Don Trump recently. According to CNN, the Trumper has a 100% approval rating with MAGA voters, which just further proves most of what we see in the mainstream media is not real. And I think normal people have figured it out. The mainstream media, social media, I think normal people have figured out that it adds no benefit to their lives. If anything, it has a tendency to make you miserable. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.